All right, here we are together once again, Red Poets Podcast. I go by the name of Twin City Tone. I'm here with my co-host,
Tall Paul.
And today we have in the building none other than Cuauhtli. Hello, sir.
Yes. What's up, y'all? What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm chilling, man.
Good. Glad you could join us. For those who don't know, tell them a little bit about who you are.
First and foremost, my name is Cuauhtli. Means eagle. I'm an artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a Mexican Nawat. Student, teacher, drummer, all of the things. It's just a lot more that I can go into, but that's the core of me.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay. So, like you said, a lot of things. Obviously, musical background. You grew up in music.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your upbringing.
So my upbringing is being around a lot of dope artists like yourselves. Just witnessing that, coming up and understanding I think that gave me a good understanding of the standard I want to set for my own music. So I came around, y'all know Rhymesayers, Cats, Brother Ali, Los Nativos, Sean from Atmosphere. It's just a bunch of people, a bunch of good role models.
Yep.
when it comes to music. So I think that I'm definitely grateful for that and recognize that and able to use that as a focal point of what I need to do.
Yeah. So your dad is actually in Los Nativos.
Yeah.
One of the members of that. And then who's your uncle?
My uncle, everybody on Rhymesayers, but my specifically the on Los Nad, Chalam Balam too was my dad's music partner. So they that's another person that I consider an uncle. But anybody on Rhymesayers that's masculine essence, I think those are all my uncles.
Yeah. So what was that like? Growing up with and around these artists who were top tier in the city, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Rhymesayers, right? So what was that like? Were you in the studio a lot with your dad, during sessions or
I wasn't really in the studio because that's a different energy. And when you're younger, you're not. I wasn't allowed to be around that because there might be smoking going on, there might be other things going on.
Right.
Obviously, it's not my dad wasn't into all the crazy but he was smart enough to keep me away until I was ready to see that. But yeah, it's a great experience because I got to see the behind the scenes of the industry at a young age and what it really takes to get to where you want to be at and the work. And I think that's why I push myself so much as I do, because I see how much work they put in and where they got with it. And I was like, oh, if I want to get past that, I gotta go 10 times harder. So it's a good thing that I always, when I reflect on that, I'm like, yeah, I gotta, you gotta keep going. It's one main thing is just don't ever quit. That's the main thing I think I learned from all of them is just you can't quit. You gotta stay with it. If it's really what you want, it's really in your heart, and it's something that you can't live without. Stay with it. Don't quit.
When did you know you wanted to do music?
I used to talk about this with my dad all the time, but he tells me I was 11 years old and I remember this part downloading a beat making thing on the iPad and yo, can I get this, and doing that for a couple of years, and then him seeing I'm asking for him for a laptop. He gave me his old laptop or his old MacBook desktop, whatever. And started to make beats on that. And then once he seen I was being consistent and disciplined with it, he bought me a MacBook so I can really, expand. Because there's only so much you can do on the laptop you can't update. So
yeah.
But yeah, man. So I would say 11, 12 years old. I fell in love with this. I was always around music and making music and just for fun. But I remember my first album that I remember falling in love with and artist falling in love with was J. Cole, off his 2014 Forest Hills Drive project. So I think that's what really was oh yeah, no, this is what I want to do. And so that was in the same time frame a little bit. So yeah, it's a dope moment for me of being able to remember the that little feeling that whole album gave me, and being the first album like I fell in love with.
Yeah, yeah. So you said you weren't ever really in studio sessions when you were younger, right? But like, do you have any like memories that stick out to you, like not studio sessions, but like, were you at any like live shows that you remember? Soundset, for example,
for sure,
right? Like you probably grew up around all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember being in one studio session because I was making the song when I was like 4 years old. But I only remember that because there's a video of it. So like,
okay.
I remember the video of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Soundset, like that's a privilege that I was able to be around not only the Rhymesayers cats, but like Soundset was a thing where we're bringing in mainstream artists and things like that. So being able to experience those people and kind of see like the difference between the genuine people and I think it was always genuine people. Actually, let me take that back. I think it's always genuine people at Soundset because we're not gonna rock with nobody that's gonna be on some Hollywood, whatever, because it's a hip hop festival. So
largest one-day hip hop festival in the world.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, right here in Minnesota.
But yeah, so what I remember is waking up at 7 a.m. to help my dad because he did the lowrider show. So I remember us getting a trailer and like having to stay overnight at the Soundset Festival grounds and like waking up hella early to let the cars in and start working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. So, let me ask you this. So with your dad, kind of being in the industry, not kind of being in the industry, and then you coming up, obviously wanting to do music, because sometimes you hear artists who had a parent in the industry, they try to like discourage their kid, like, oh, you don't want to do this. Like they don't want their kid to get into music. Yeah. Was that ever a conversation that your dad had with you?
Nah.
No. So he fully supported your artistry.
Yeah, I mean he supported it, and he was also like, anything you do, you gotta do it at 110%. Like this is really like, it's not just a hobby to you, and you better put your all into it. And he always encouraged me, and also like let me figure it out for myself too at the same time, but kind of giving me like the puzzle pieces that I needed or the tools I needed to be able to do that. And then it was like, all right, you gotta figure the rest out for yourself.
Was he ever helping you like write your rhymes in the beginning?
Never.
No. Okay.
It was.
You can tell us, bro. You can tell us. It's okay.
Nah, never. The funny thing is, I would always be like, I think I'm better than you. I think that would always happen. And he was like, no, not yet. And then I think the last couple of years, he was like, all right, you got it.
He said, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you said you really started taking the music seriously when you were like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
What was that? Like, do you remember your first studio session? Like, I know you were in the studio, like you said, when you were 4, but like your first studio session when you actually like wrote your first song and like went and recorded it. Like, do you remember what that was like?
I think I remember that era of like that time frame. I don't think I remember specifically the first time I was like turns on the mic but I remember it was in my bedroom. I had an old microphone. In that bedroom.
So you started out recording yourself in your own room?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about your first time in like an actual studio? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that too. It was up at High School for Recording Arts, and it's a dope studio, multi-million-dollar studio. Then I ended up transferring there because I was at Minnehaha Academy for 2 years because I was playing basketball with them folks.
Oh, you were hooping over Minnehaha?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're decent on the court then.
I'm better now than I was for sure back then. I was C-squad material back then.
Okay.
But,
okay.
That's also one of the things that I love. So I keep, even though I'm like, that's not my focus. It's just something that keeps me grounded. So I think, I still put 110% into that.
What year did you graduate?
My graduating class was 2020, but once I transferred over to High School for Recording Arts, I like prolonged my high school career so I can stay in the studio for free. Yeah. Because once you graduate, you can't come back. So I used that as much as I could. And then like my senior year, I started interning there. And then the year I graduated, I actually got hired on to work there at that school. So I kept the keys. I was figuring out a way. I was like, I need to be able to use this studio for free. So I got to figure it out because I love making music too much to be able to not be able to be in a studio like every second that I can. So
what was it like going to school there?
It was a learning curve for sure, because at first I was kind of like the the antisocial like artist. Like, nah, I don't want to
stick to yourself.
I don't want to work with nobody else. You know, I'll make my own beats. I'll do this and do that, and then eventually, like, you start to grow the more you put yourself out there. So that's started working with more people, started working with more students, and started, you know, really expanding the type of music I create and the experiences that the music was bringing. So yeah.
Okay. I have to ask you, so you were at Minnehaha. I want to go back to the basketball real quick.
Yeah.
So during that time frame, were you over there with Chad Holmgren and Jalen Suggs?
Yeah.
So you were playing with them?
Those are the
like
guys for sure. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No, we would hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, yeah. Yeah, that was the whole that was the squad. And not only from Minnehaha, but like the West Side Boosters, all that.
Right. Did you ever play for Sizzle?
Yeah, I played for Sizzle.
Okay.
I played for Sizzle for a little bit too.
Yeah.
I wasn't ever on their squad though. They always played like
they played up, right?
Yeah, they played up. I was playing with my age. I mean, I played a year up, but I wasn't. They was playing 18 youth since they was like 12. So
that was the same time that Master P's kids were going to school there and playing there too.
Oh, that's
so
right.
You must have played with them too.
They transferred the year I transferred, so it was like within the same year I was out, they were in. So
okay.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned, so you went to high school recording arts. You prolonged it so you can get that lock in at that free studio. What were some of those recording sessions like?
That was like the first time I remember myself being in a booth and like not recording myself. That was a little different for me.
Where you actually had an engineer, and you could like solely focus on just making the music and recording it,
sure.
Or doing your vocals rather than sitting behind the board and trying to record yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you prefer? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm curious about the curriculum. Like, did you still have to do math and all that kind of stuff, or was it just strictly you was in there making music?
If you can figure out a way to stay in there and do music, you still got to like make projects based off like math or history or whatever credit you need. But if you're crafty enough and smart enough and really that's what you really want to do and be music, then you can figure out a way to graduate just staying in the studio. Yeah, because I did my senior project, was an album. I did like science raps and like everything.
Okay, all right. Now I was gonna ask, do you prefer like recording yourself or do you prefer having an engineer? Because some people like to just record themselves and they don't like to be in the studio with other people.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
I think I definitely prefer recording myself. I also like recording with the engineer though, because then I got somebody that, like, they bounce their ideas off of me. I bounce like stuff like that. But I prefer recording by myself because then I don't gotta hear nobody. I don't gotta focus on anything but the music. So
when you're recording yourself, would you like having like your friends or like girls or whatever in the studio? I never liked that. I always just like to be in the studio, just me and I never recorded myself though, but like I just me and the engineer that said I don't want a bunch of homies in there. I never brought girls to the studio. I know a lot of guys that like doing that, but to me it was always a distraction.
No, I've if you're not in the studio, you're not. I mean, if you're not working, you're not in the studio. For me.
Yeah, Paul, you're the same one.
Same way, yeah. Even when I recorded, because I recorded myself for a while. Like I mixed my own stuff, mastered it, and all that. But like, I wasn't there to kick it. It was there to work on music. It's work.
I mean, if I don't think I might have been 1 or 2 times I brought somebody to the studio, but they understand. Like, I'm not here to talk to you right now. I'm not here. This isn't I mean, it's fun, but like this isn't a social hour for me. Right. So like, if you're in the studio, you understand that. I've only brought one girl to the studio before, like, and it's because we were dating, and
right.
She wanted to come kick it, but I also told her, I was like, this is.
I'm at work.
Yeah, so like she understood that too. She told me she was mad at first too, but she was like, once we got in there, she saw how much I had to do. Yeah, she was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, because I think people from the outside, like whether they see like music videos or movies, or they think like it's a party, and I guess it can be, but like it is work
for some people. But
I don't know. I like to lock in and just focus.
I mean, because you're paying for your studio time too. So like, I'm not there to pay to kick it. You know what I mean? Like we can kick it somewhere else. Yeah.
And I've seen that too, where artists like they'll book like a 4-hour block of time, and they spend like just 3 hours smoking, drinking, and writing the song.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather go to the studio for 4 hours and I'm going to get like 8 songs done, just knock them out, you know. But to each their own, you know, to each their own.
Yeah, there was a period of time I didn't have, so I had lost the job at the studio, and so there was a period of time I didn't have the keys. I just got them back though, because I was talking with the owner and you know, figure out a way so I can stay in the studio, because you know we got good relationships, and just you know it's the time it wasn't working out. They were losing funding, so they had to let some people go.
Yeah.
But so I ended up getting the keys back. But during that period of time, I was cool with my old coworkers, and he's actually my engineer still too. So you know, but I still paid him, like, because I didn't have the keys. This was on his time now.
Yeah.
But so during that period of time, it was like, I'm coming in, I got 3-4 songs, I got to record in an hour, and you know, that's how I do it if I gotta pay for it. So the songs is ready. Now I can sit in the studio and be like, I can write, because I got more time and I ain't gotta pay for it. But yeah, when I gotta pay for it, them songs is ready and done. And like,
yeah. Now, do you also make your own beats and do your own production, or?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually started off doing production. But I think once I started like venturing out into like using other people's beats, it really helped develop my writing skill and melodies and all that type of stuff. But I still love producing. I still produce. There's a couple, I haven't like released anything where I've recorded on and produced in a while. Just like my last project, like I think My Whole Life is a song like from 2 years ago. It was the last song that I produced. Like no samples or nothing either, so it was dope. But I do want to get back into that, because I've learned the more musically that I can apply to like production, and so I want to be able to practice that and use it, because I love producing as much as I love writing. It's just writing is a little more. I have way more hours in writing now than I do in producing. So, but I love them the same
equally.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you also do production for other artists, or only for yourself?
Yeah, I have. I've sent out beats to people. I don't exclusively like where I don't got nobody where I'm like they're coming to me for beats and stuff. Sure. But like people have asked me for beats, and I've let them hear what I got and let them pick what they want, and sold beats, give them out beats for free, made a custom beat. Like yeah.
If people want to tap in with you for like production, how can they do that?
And you can hit me up on Instagram at Cuauhtli Day, CUAUHTLIDAY. That's gonna be my main place to reach out to me. Just send me a DM. I don't got it on privacy or whatever the other version is where you can't DM to somebody. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, same thing. Cuauhtli Day, spell the same way.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Messenger, but I'll probably respond faster on Instagram.
On Instagram, okay. And that's same for like if they want features or book you for a show or whatever. That's the way to hit you.
Yeah, or go on Instagram and you'll find the booking information too on there. So everything's on my Instagram.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the last project you dropped?
Last project was called Prelude to a New Dream. That one actually took me a couple years to make. Just because I was trying out new stuff like singing. I've never really sang on record before, so I wanted it to be right. And it was a little rough still, finding my voice and stuff, but I was able to do what I wanted, do what I wanted to do. And I think that last project really, freed me creatively, because I'm like, oh, yeah, there's stuff that I been wanting to do that, it was too scared. I felt like I didn't have enough work in it or practice enough practice in it. So, it was like, nah, man, if it feels good to you, let's do it.
Yeah.
Create it,
Now, you mentioned J. Cole, his album inspired you. So obviously he was an influence on you musically, but do you have any other people when you were growing up that maybe you knew personally that you were around with Rhymesayers, or just people that you listened to that were a major inspiration for you musically? Or influence,
Yeah, as far as Rhymesayers, I think Brother Ali that's the first name that comes to mind. Dope artist. I think his beats were always fire. But yeah, as far as Rhymesayers, that's the main person I could think about. Other artists outside of that, J. Cole, the Kendrick, early Drake. Nothing was the same Drake. That's my favorite Drake. After that, he kind of fell off for me. recently, like past when I was like in my later teens, like Nipsey Hussle. But I think I fell in love with Nipsey Hussle more off of his moves and his character. And then I fell more in love with his music. Like I knew some of his songs, but then I fell back and like, you know, that during that COVID time, I was doing a lot of research on different artists. So I think that's one of the artists that I really dove deep on researching like their whole process outside, not just music, but like business wise and all those things. So I think he's one of the artists that really inspires me.
Yeah.
I say Kendrick, I say J. Cole. Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean's a big one. Frank Ocean's also a big one. But yeah, J. Cole and Frank Cole. If I had to pick like two, it would be J. Cole and Frank Ocean, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about any plans to collab with any artists, or who would you want to collab with?
Me and Louis Blaze been trying to do something forever. We got a couple songs, but it's just, you know, that's one of the artists. Yeah, there's a couple artists like Atmosphere, you know, everybody on Rhymesayers I want to do something with, but yeah. I'm also not the type of person that's gonna force it. Like I gotta hear you on the song. It's gotta be
organic, right?
They also gotta hear themselves on a song, so it's gotta be like that, or we're in a studio session together, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I also have like dream features too. Like I want to work with Cole, obviously. I want to work with Wiz Khalifa. It'll be a fun one, I think. Cause he's more. I feel like he can go get on anything. Like that man is so he's dope. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. There's definitely like thousands more artists that I would work with, but
you worked with Wiz Khalifa's DJ, right?
Yeah,
DJ Bonix,
yeah. Big shout out to Bonix, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. I mean, if not, I mean, he's one of the illest DJs. Yeah. Like technically, he's unbelievable.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. He was up at Go 95, right? That's where he used to
do. Yeah. He used to do the midday show over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, unbelievable DJ. Yeah. Shout out to Bonix. He's in Vegas now.
Yeah,
but
I see that.
Still touring with Wiz, I believe. I think they're actually coming here.
They're coming
in May.
Yeah. I'll probably be there.
Yeah, that should be dope.
Be a fun show.
What about you and your dad? You ever collab with him?
Man, we tried so many times. I don't know. It's our music is so like polar opposites. I think it still shares the same essence in a way, but his was more like direct and more straight up about certain things. I lean more towards like his was more like systematic oppression. Mine's more like mental things and like healing from the inside out. He was like attacking, like I don't want to say attacking, but he was addressing the system in that kind of way. I'm addressing the system in a self-care kind of way.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get that collab one of these days. Huh?
Yeah, it'll happen for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you have planned for the future? What's upcoming?
I got a lot of projects. I'm trying to knock out release party, release show for my next album coming up. Still haven't confirmed the name yet. There's a couple names I've been bouncing around, but so I'm not gonna put that out there just yet. But there's definitely a project coming in the next couple months. Got putting a show together at 7th Street Entry that hopefully it'll happen by the end of the summertime.
Yeah.
Still talking with First Ave and the folks over there, so to knock out and iron out the details for that one. And then the Indigenous Peoples Weekend, we're putting the Anti-Columbus Day show together that I just decided, and me and my pops decided we gonna run it back and make it happen this year. So. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So a lot in the works.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, look forward to hearing the new music, man.
Yeah.
Where can people hear your music outside of like the main streaming services?
Yeah, I mean Spotify. That's a main streaming service, but Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music.
Okay.
Instagram. I got most of my music on Instagram, Facebook. But yeah, you just keep it on the main streaming services. There's
you ever heard of Bandcamp?
Bandcamp, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's helpful. Like my last album, I did like thousands of dollars off of just downloads, you know what I'm saying? I give the free option. So people can have my music there for free.
Yeah.
But when you give them that option to take your music for free, they're like, no, man, I got to support this dude. And there was like a couple people that bought it for like $100 and stuff. So you might want to think about that. No, otherwise, there's another platform. I forget what it's called.
I'll check that out for sure. Yeah,
man. Okay. Well, yo, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me
up with us here on the Red Post Podcast. Tap in with him. Like I said, make sure you support him, see what he's got going on. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.